I've been getting into coffee as of late. Now, this started out a few months ago, and I was just buying some beans at the grocery store, making myself a cup of joe. Somewhere along the way, I got stuck in the rabbit hole that is coffee. And I started buying my own beans, roasting them here at home, grinding them up in this machine, and shoving them in my coffee maker to try and make a cup of coffee that was at least somewhat palatable. Well, turns out I really like the stuff. Probably too much. So I figured I would talk about the equipment that I use to do all this. Now, it's not going to be the most astounding equipment. It's pretty basic entry-level tier stuff, but for the price, it ain't half bad. So today, on Independent Verification, we go down the coffee rabbit hole just a little bit and talk about roasting coffee with this here coffee roaster. Now, to be clear, you don't actually need a dedicated coffee roaster to roast your own coffee beans. I started out with just using a pot. Actually, it was a pan, but I used it on an induction cooker so that I can dial in a particular temperature. I'm not going to get into all of those specifics, but suffice it to say that once I started doing it, I was intrigued. I was trying coffee beans from all over the world: Ethiopia, Nicaragua, Colombia, the list goes on. And I'm sure the list will continue to grow as I get more and more invested into this whole coffee thing. But I come to realize that if you want to have your coffee beans evenly roasted, you need to really stir those beans constantly, and it takes a while to do so. Around 15-20 minutes, depending on the roast level of the coffee you're trying to achieve. So I started looking at machines that do that for you, and I came across this. Now, if you've ever looked at coffee roasters on the internet, particularly Amazon or eBay, you'll notice that they all kind of look the same, at least the ones that are shaped like this, and that's because they are a white label product. In other words, there's one company in China that makes this product, and then other companies will then buy it, slap their label on it with their brand name, and then resell it for a reasonable upcharge on Amazon or eBay or what have you. Now, this particular one is known as the JMS-270, 800 watts of cooking power, and it'll say that on the back of this machine. Fun fact, you can actually get this on AliExpress if you really wanted to for much cheaper than you could if you were to go on Amazon. But the shipping cost from China is going to get you to about the same price that you would have paid on Amazon anyway. I found this one on eBay brand new for about 65 bucks. So I figured for the price, it was worth a shot. Now you can change the temperature that your beans roast at, and that's about it. This machine has a little stirring mechanism that I'll show you. And you basically put a pound of coffee beans, and yeah, you're going to want to put at least a pound, because doing less than a pound won't stir the beans properly. I found this out after some trial and error, and well, to be frank, if you're going to get beans like this anyway, you can get them pretty cheap because they're unroasted. Basically, you're doing part of the manufacturing process yourself. So, 3 pounds of beans only goes for about 20 bucks. Sometimes even better than that if you buy it in 5 pounds. The machine is pretty simple to operate. Just take the lid off of the pan, pour 1 pound of beans into your roaster, and then flip the switch. Turning it on will put the stirring mechanism into motion. Now, this will stir your beans as it's roasting throughout the process. Now, down here you got a dial that goes anywhere from 100 degrees Celsius to 240 degrees Celsius as labeled. Does it actually get that hot? I haven't really confirmed that, but I can tell you this much. It definitely has plenty of heat to roast the beans without much issue. Now, for all its good features, there are a few bad features that I want to talk about. Particularly the Teflon pot itself. There's no way to remove it, so when you're done cooking your beans, you'll have to scoop them out with something and place them into a container of some sort. Same goes with cleaning. You might have noticed that this is pretty dusty, and that's because I've used this several times. And when you're roasting beans, sometimes they get all, well, dusty, and you get some residue left behind. It would be easy to clean if you could remove this Teflon pot, but unfortunately you can't. So I'm stuck kind of just using a paper towel to scoop out whatever remains, and whatever's left over is just now in there. A bit unfortunate, but it is what you get for 65 bucks. Alright, enough talk. Let's roast some beans. So this is about the evenness you can expect from this roaster. It's not going to match a commercial quality roaster, but for doing it at home, it's actually not bad. We got a decent mix right around the medium range. We hit the first crack pretty late in there, a little bit next to 20 minutes, but I dare say this will still make some good coffee. And now we have some freshly roasted beans. But you don't want to consume them just yet. They say you should let these off gas for a few days, and then they should be ready to consume. Since we made a whole pound at once, this will last us quite a long time, which is okay, because even with the beans in their unroasted form, they'll still last approximately a year so long as you keep them in their airtight pouch. Now I do have some beans that I have roasted previously, and I gotta say, these are probably the best smelling beans I've ever had in my life. But that probably has more to do with the particular beans that I've roasted that particular day. I've tried some beans from all over the world, and suffice it to say, they all have slightly different flavor profiles and smells to them, so find the one that you like the most and have fun with it. Before we wrap this up though, let's talk about the roaster again real quick, because there's a few things we learned from what we just did. First off, there's going to be kind of an oily substance that your beans are going to produce. That's going to get all over the glass, so you're going to want to wash the glass. And two, there's not really a good way to scoop the beans out of this roaster. It's one big flaw. I haven't seen any way to remove the beans from this thing. I don't think this thing is removable because it's kind of screwed in place. So take that as you will, but if you want to do your own beans, this ain't half bad for starting out. Roasters can get pretty expensive depending on the kind you get, the brand, and the kind of quality overall from what you're buying, but for the introduction to the hobby, I'd say for 65 bucks, it's not a bad little appliance. So, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found it informative and helpful. So, pour yourself out a cup of joe and get back to your day.